Hello and welcome to another standard video here in the preview event for Bloomburrow, so thanks again to Wizards for having me. Today we're taking a look at a blue-green frog deck, and frogs in Bloomburrow are all about bouncing stuff, since we have creatures that provide value when they enter the battlefield, as well as cards that trigger when creatures leave the battlefield without dying, so bouncing our own stuff is what it's all about. And one of the main payoffs in the frog deck is Clement the Worrywart, a 3-mana 3/3 legendary frog druid with vigilance. And now frogs we control can tap to either add green or blue mana that we can spend to cast creature spells. Most of the deck is creatures, so that's not a problem. And whenever Clement or another creature we control enters, we can return up to one target creature we control with a lesser mana value to its owner's hand. So it is optional, but sometimes we will want to pick up some of our own creatures to again enable all those various synergies. Some of the creatures we actively want to pick up again include the Sunshower Druid, which will give us an extra +1/+1 counter and gains 1 life, so we can place that +1 counter elsewhere. Then we've got the Pond Prophet, drawing a card when it enters, also good to pick up. And then at 3 mana, the Long River Lurker, giving other frogs Ward 1, has Ward 1 itself, and when it enters, target creature we control cannot be blocked this turn, so nice evasive ability to maybe help close out the game. And whenever that creature deals combat damage this turn, we can exile it. If we do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, so we can potentially flicker a creature that dealt damage to maybe re-enable its enter the battlefield ability. Can be worth it, but again, totally optional. And then at 4 mana, we have our Dreamdew Entrancer, which is the main interaction we have in this deck, a 3/4 with reach, and when it enters, we can tap up to 1 target creature and put 3 stun counters on it, so a great way to keep an opposing creature locked down for quite some time. If we control that creature, we also get to draw 2 cards, so sometimes we'll actually want to stun our own creature just to draw 2 cards, and in the case of a card like the Sunshower Druid, we don't really care about stunning our own 1-drop to draw 2 cards. Plus, we might have ways to pick up our own creature afterwards to get rid of the stun counters if we have a Clement on the battlefield, for instance, or maybe using a Splash Portal, the only non-creature spell in our deck, a 1-mana sorcery that exiles target creature we control and then immediately returns it to the battlefield. And if it's a frog, we also get to draw a card, so this can provide a lot of value for just 1 mana, especially if we have some of these other creatures on the battlefield, such as our 2-mana 3/3 Scribe, which is a 2/3, saying whenever the Scribe or another creature we control leaves the battlefield without dying, we can put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature we control. So this will trigger if we flicker our own creature with Splash Portal, or if we maybe pick something up with Clement. Could also trigger if the opponent exiles one of our creatures, because then they're technically not dying, but still leaving the battlefield. So there's a lot of ways this can go off and give us additional +1/+1 counters. And then we've got the blue variant, which is the Port Mage, which will simply draw a card whenever one of our creatures leaves the battlefield without dying. Can also pay 2 mana and tap it to pick up one of our creatures, but that doesn't come up very often. And then another way we have of picking up our own creatures is with a Mistbreath Elder, 2/2, saying at the beginning of our upkeep, return another creature we control to its owner's hand. If we do, put a +1/+1 counter on the Mistbreath Elder. Now this is not optional, so if we have Mistbreath and another creature in play, then we're going to be forced to pick up that other creature, so we don't always want to deploy the Elder right away. And then we also have the option of picking up the Mistbreath if it's the only creature on the battlefield, but then at least it is optional, so we can keep the 2/2 on the battlefield by itself if it's our only creature. And then last but certainly not least is the Valley Mightcaller, a 1/1 Trampler, saying whenever another frog enters under our control, we can put a +1/+1 counter on it, so this will also steadily grow over time and benefits from flickering our own creatures. And then our mana base gets to play with some of these new utility lands. Oak Hollow Village, maybe giving us an additional +1 counter on a frog that entered this turn. The Lilypad Village can maybe Surveil 2. Now this only makes blue mana to cast creature spells, so we cannot use it to cast our Splash Portal, which is why we still need some islands. And then we've got more blue-green dual lands for mana fixing, as well as Cavern of Souls to make our frogs uncounterable. Can also be useful against control, and then 4 of each basic as well. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw here. We've got a Keeper. Turn 1 Mightcaller, turn 2 either Prophet or Scribe. Splash Portal can enable more synergies. Facing blue-black, and a Harvester, threatening to eventually wipe the board. At least our deck can start growing the team to survive a -2/-2. For now, Analyst, fill the graveyard. And we see Glarb, one of the payoffs for playing Sultai. Okay, so next up, probably just go with Scribe, and then next turn Prophet into Portal could be the play. Although getting the Mage in play before we Portal could maybe draw me an extra card. So yeah, if I wanted to maximize card draw, playing Prophet last turn, and then next turn Mage, Splash Portal, Flicker, Prophet. Essentially draw 3 cards for 1 mana. Could have been pretty good. But I also want to get the +1 counters going here. Ooh, wow, that's a turn 3 Husk Burster Swarm already. As our opponent's definitely maxed out on creatures in graveyard, so could not have gotten any more in there. Okay, well that's gonna be a problem. So now we don't have any great attacks at the moment. Clement was a good draw. So I can maybe play Clement, and then, yeah, I'm gonna be taking damage. Can play Prophet to draw at least. Still not gonna pick anything up. But next turn we can. So we somehow need to outrace this 6/6 with Death Touch and Menace. Two lands in graveyard now to help with Analyst. And an Overwhelming Remorse as removal for 1 mana. Pretty good. I guess we do get to trigger these since it got exiled instead of just dying, so that's kind of nice. Let's grow the Trampler some more, although making this 3 power is also useful. Okay, play the Prophets, and then Splash Portal it, and then probably play Mist Breath afterwards. Alright, and Transfer is a good way to lock down the Swarm. For now, let's Flicker. And then I'll get more counters. Go ahead and play the Mist Breath. These two attack. Now our opponent could chump with Analyst and sacrifice it, so that's where Trample's useful. 2 unknown cards in hand. Seems to be mostly a creature-based deck if they're playing with a Swarm. Blossoming Tortoise. Can fill the graveyard some more. Mills another Swarm, and Marauder can also be played on the cheap. So pick up the Prophets. Draw a card, get a counter. At this point I might just be all in on the Trampler, since they can just chump the Scribe otherwise. Another Splash Portal's excellent. So now I can play Entrancer, lock down Swarm, Flicker it, and lock down Tortoise for instance. And yeah, Splash Portal draws me an extra card, gives me an extra counter, and then we also get an extra counter from another frog entering on the Might Caller, so this is more than enough for lethal. So despite a very impressive start from the Sultai graveyard deck, the frogs got it done. Awesome. Okay, we're on the play. We have what looks like a keeper. Start with Might Caller, turn 2 could play Sunshower Druid Splash Portal to flicker it. Or maybe play the Scribe first, and then when we flicker with Scribe in play, we'll get an extra +1 counter. And let's see what our opponent's playing. A red and a claw, so maybe a lizard deck. Okay. Being able to stop the opponent from attacking against lizards is pretty important, since they rely on that damage to enable their synergies. So sometimes playing defense is the way to go. For now, I think Scribe is still reasonable, and then I'm not gonna attack. Opponent has a Gav, so they're also not attacking. Okay, now we can go for Sunshower Druid, Flicker Sunshower Druid, play Mist Breath, and get a ton of extra counters. Should have done this before playing Yavimaya Coast in case I drew another Botanical Sanctum. Can maybe grow itself some more. Okay, and then Mist Breath is our leftover. Do I want to attack? Or maybe just keep one blocker back to dissuade the opponent from attacking, although now with Gav in play, they can sort of enable their synergies without needing to attack. So maybe it's fine to turn the team sideways. And then Mist Breath planning to pick up Sunshower Druid. Definitely should have played this first to get an extra +1 counter. Yeah, it's only turn 3, but we already got 7 +1 counters. Now a Battler enters with an extra counter, 3/4. That's fine. Pick up the Sunshower. I'm growing the Scribe itself, I'm assuming, and then I can make that one unblockable with Lurker, and Transfer is good too. Although I think going Sunshower into Lurker is going to be pretty good. Take some damage. So that's 6 unblockable, opponent's at 5. And then they don't have a good block on Mightcaller. If I send in everyone, if they want to try and block here, then they still die. So I think I'm fine attacking with everyone. Do they survive if they double block Mightcaller, maybe trade for Elder? Then they would have 6 toughness, take 8 down to 3. Yeah, this is not gonna work, and there we have it. Frogs beat lizards, I guess. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a keepable hand. Turn 1 Mightcaller. Turn 2 probably Dowerport Mage. Or we can play another Mightcaller. Although I don't really want to pick up a Mightcaller with the Mist Breath's ability. Opponent blue-red could be control. Yeah, let's go Dowerport and hit for 2. And then Clement opens up some options as well. I see an artifact deck. Okay, and Transfer can maybe lock something down, and then if we play Clement now, we'll have additional mana for it. So play Clement. I don't have to return anything. I think I just leave it in play. And then we can make some mana here. Play another Mightcaller. And I'm probably just hit for 4 instead of playing a Mist Breath. Heaped Harvest triggers Synthesizer, can help them ramp, so could see some more expensive artifacts later. Alright, so Splash Portal, also a way to re-enable some effects, so we certainly have options. Let's say we try and play Entranceur and Mist Breath and Splash Portal, so that's 6 mana total, and then the largest Mightcaller can attack. Could also attack with Clement first, I guess, with Vigilance. So yeah, let's play the Entranceur. locking down their token. I'm not going to bounce anything right now. And then I can attack for 8. And then play Mist Breath. And Splash Portal my Entrancer. And then now I can target my own creature, like Daraport Mage. And pick it up with Clement. And play another Mist Breath. They can always pick up each other as well. Molten Duplication, make another Synthesizer is pretty good. And then make a copy of the token with a Common Good. That's nice. Their opponent now has 3 8/8s. Alright, so Mist Breath. Probably just picking up itself here. Unless we want to replay the Entrancer, tap something down, grow my creatures. I'm gonna wanna probably just flicker the Entrancer, which should be feasible. So this can make mana. Play another Entrancer. Could also just go for the Lurker to make this unblockable, to be fair. It's maybe easier. And then I'm not gonna pick anything up. And yeah, making the Might Caller unblockable this turn should do it if we play one more creature out. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We've got a Keeper. Facing a Fountain Port Bell. Can get a basic. They might have ways to maybe sacrifice it later for value. For now, play Might Caller, I guess. Better than Sunshower Druid. And a Forager, so is this a food? It is not. So still gonna play the Scribe. I'll offer the trade. Although I'm kind of hoping they take it, since we can grow the Might Caller quite a bit here. Archaeologist to fill the graveyard. And our opponent seems to be on a 4-color graveyard deck. Okay, so next up can go Sunshower Druid, flicker it with Splash Portal, and then get a bunch of extra +1 counters. Could also play the Lurker, but let's save that one for next turn. And then maybe grow the Scribe, so I can attack with both past the Archaeologist. And we even have a Mist Breath we can still deploy. So counter on Scribe itself. And Sunshower can grow the Might Caller. Not bad. Attack for 10. And hope they don't have a board wipe, because I'm not going to have much left. I see Atraxa, so they're definitely on the reanimation plan. They will get a food token since they control the squirrel, and now this can generate an additional mana by foraging. Just another Archaeologist, so at least they're not bringing back Atraxa just yet. And now I can pick up the Sunshower Druid with Mist Breath. And get some more +1 counters out of it. And then the Scribe probably wants to grow itself, since I can make it unblockable this turn, or Mist Breath, so it gets up to 4 power. But we can always give more +1 counters. Can go ahead and play Sunshower Druid. And then play the Lurker. Mist Breath is unblockable, since it doesn't trample. So our opponent can chump, and has to chump twice. And yeah, that's lethal. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. Our hands may be lacking some synergies, some bounce effects, but for now, get to draw off Profit a bunch. And Transfer can be more card draw or removal, depending on the situation. No 1-drop is a little bit unfortunate, since we've got a few of those. But we'll find them eventually. Opponent blue-white with an Otter, finding Sleight of Hand. So for now, could also play the Scribe, and then next turn draw more with the Profit if needed. Could also play the Lurker right away. At least the Scribe can attack into the Trainer. Opponent's missing a line drop, it seems. So now I can go Mightcaller plus Profits. And Clement's excellent, so that can help double spell next turn. Opponent keeps up some mana, could be a counterspell. Don't have Cavern of Souls, sadly, so maybe I don't want to play Clement just yet. Although my turn would be just play and transfer otherwise, I guess that could still work. And then just tap down my own Pond Profit to draw. That resolved. They're gonna get lost my Mightcaller. So we still get to draw at least, just don't deal quite as much damage. But Splash Portal was a nice pickup. Could be 1 mana, draw 3 with the Entrancer. Just have to be careful not to play it into instant speed removal. So now we have a couple more options. Start with Clement, play Sunshower Druid, and then Profit, pick up Druid again. Sounds kind of appealing. Playing the Lurker could also protect my creatures from removal a bit better, so that's also a consideration. And then I guess a Sweeper could also be a concern, which is why I would maybe like to draw some cards while I can. Let's see if this resolves. It does. So we can pick up the Profit for now. And then grow the Scribe itself. And then next can play Sunshower Druid, and then Profit, pick up Druid, growing the Scribe some more. And then I'll still have Profit with double Splash Portal to refuel, and I'll pick up the Sunshower Druid now, which gives us an extra counter with the Scribe. Yeah, I could start diversifying a bit more, put it on Clement maybe. And then I'm gonna attack for 4 instead of replaying the Druid. Opponent's got a Floodcaller, takes 4, so now they can play sorceries at instant speed. And our opponent passes. Okay, so I have to be extra careful of Sweepers at instant speed as well. But maybe we start with a Lurker, pick up Profits, and take it from there. Opponent's gonna counter. Can play another Lurker here. That one resolves. And And then Clement picks up pawn profits. And we'll make the scribe unblockable now. Okay, and then how about Sunshower Druid? And then I could Splash Portal, Flicker the Lurker, now that they can't get lost at instant speed. To make Clement unblockable as well. And then Clement can pick up Sunshower Druid. And this would be 12 damage. Unblockable. So we'll see if they have anything. Alright, so we got to see our frog deck in action, and it certainly exceeded my expectations. When I was building the deck, I thought it would be maybe a little bit underpowered compared to some of the other creature types in the set, but after playing it, seeing how many counters we can amass and how many cards we can start drawing, it can certainly pack a punch. So yeah, overall, frogs may not be all that bad after all, and maybe worth a shot if you pick up enough of these in draft especially. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.